Hi there, welcome to day 4 of our March Madness challenge. Today we're going to be focusing on the single leg circle. We're going to be breaking it down a little bit and doing some of the exercises that we've already done to see how it's going so far for you. Let's go ahead and get started right away, laying down on our backs, warming up the pelvis and the low back. Find a comfortable position, laying on your back. We'll find our neutral pelvis and our neutral spine. So feet are pressing down into the mat. Knees are bent, feet are parallel. We'll find those tripods of the feet, so big toe pad, pinky toe pad, center of the heel, and then make sure your ASIS bones, your hip points here, and your pubic bone are on the same plane. Let's let our ribs soften down into the mat. Let that be heavy and relaxed without tipping the pelvis, and let the arms drop down by your side. Maybe you can feel wide across the collarbones, open through your shoulders. Now we're gonna start with really subtle, concentrated movements in the pelvis here. So I want you to imagine there's a marble resting in between your hip bones and between your pubic bone and your belly button, so right in the center of the pelvis. The first thing we're going to do is start to tip the pelvis to the right to roll that marble over to the right hip. The left hip will lift away from the ground a little bit. And then we're going to come back through center, roll the marble to center, and then roll the marble over to the left. And then roll the marble over to the right. And then roll the marble over to the left. So what we're doing here is we're rotating the pelvis side to side. And we actually want to keep the thigh bones pretty stable, and we're rotating the pelvis around the heads of the femur. So your thigh bones are your femurs. We're just spiraling the pelvis around those femur heads. Go to the right. And then over to the left. One more each way like that. And we're doing this because it's going to be our basis for rotation that we need in the single leg circle. And then to the left. And then we'll come to center and we'll take a couple rocks forward and back. So roll your pubic bone towards your belly button, roll that marble towards your chest, and then roll it the other way, going past neutral, getting a little bit of an exaggerated curve in that lumbar spine. Exhale, roll pubic bone to belly button. Inhale to roll it away. We'll just do 2 more like that. And I'm trying to keep my ribs quiet here and really isolate the movement from the pubic bone to the belly button and not above. 1 more there. Exhale, curl pubic bone to belly button. Inhale to reach it away. And then we'll go into circles here. So combining those 4 points into a big circle. So you're rolling that marble up towards your belly button. Roll it over towards the left hip. Roll it through the center between the legs, over to the right, and back through center. And if you want, you can start to think about the feet and notice how the weight on the feet changes as you're rolling that pelvis around. It's a nice way to stay focused on what your body is doing and how the movement is affecting you. Finish the circle you're on, reverse it, go the other way, circle it around. Again, our ribs are staying quiet and heavy. Circle it around. One more. Trying to find ease of movement in those bones, not letting too much muscular tension get in the way there. Let's relax neutral and just stay. Good. From here, we're going to walk the feet all the way together. We're going to go back to that concept of rotating the hips side to side, and we're going to add movement of the knees. Now, plant your arms down into the mat. The shoulders stay anchored into the mat. We're going to drop the knees to the right, letting the pelvis twist. So the right hip drops down towards the ground, the left hip comes up, the shoulders stay anchored as those knees twist to the right. You're only going to go as far as you can without that left shoulder peeling off of the mat. And then you'll use an exhale, find the center, find the drive from your middle to bring those legs back to center. Let's take it over to the left. So we inhale, twisting to the left. Right shoulder stays anchored, right hip lifts up away from the mat, so the pelvis is twisting away from the ribs. Bring it back to center. Take it to the right. Big inhale. Exhale, back to center. Feel that draw in, and then the left. And then bring it up. One more each way, to the right. And to the left. Center, and to the left. And bring it center, driving from the middle. Pull that belly button back to bring your legs in. Beautiful, nice work. Separate the feet again so they're sits bones distance apart. Heels in line with the center of your hip joint. Find that neutral pelvis. And then we want to float the right leg up to a tabletop position. Now we're going to keep the pelvis nice and stable. So we're removing that rotation of the pelvis bit. We're keeping the hips stable. And now we're just going to play with that leg bone moving within the hip socket. So you're in tabletop. I want you to feel that thigh bone drop into the hip socket heavy. So we let that thigh bone just drop and hold it there. So it should feel some ease. You should feel some ease in that hip joint. It shouldn't feel super clenchy. So if it does, maybe give yourself like a little massage there and really imagine that head of the femur bone dropping into the back of the hip socket. From there, there's a paintbrush on your knee. You're going to start to draw circles on the ceiling with that paintbrush. So that right thigh bone is just circling around in the hip socket while the pelvis stays stable. Spine stays stable. It's just an isolation of that leg in the hip socket, stirring that thigh bone around in the hip socket. Let's reverse that and go the other way. Keep breathing. Try to stabilize your opposite leg too. That's tricky. It's such a small motion, but we're doing good work here. That deep core is firing. One more. And then check in the center again. Maybe feel that sinking feeling again of the thigh bone into the hip socket and slowly lower that foot back down. Let's bring the left leg up. Left thigh drops into left hip socket. Stable across those hip bones. If the marble was in the center there, it wouldn't be rolling side to side at all. Drop that left thigh bone into the hip socket. Imagine that femur head touching the back of the hip socket. And then we'll take circles. We're drawing a circle on the ceiling. So the knee stays pointing up to the sky the whole time. We're not painting on the walls. We're just painting on the ceiling. You can, if you like imagery a lot, you can decide what color your paintbrush is and picture that on the ceiling. I'm not always super imaginative, so that doesn't always work for me, but maybe that works for you. Let's reverse that circle and go the other way, keeping that thigh bone heavy in the hip socket, keeping that opposite hip anchored and the opposite leg nice and stable as you draw those circles. Two more. One more. Keep breathing. Find neutral. Thigh bone slides back into the hip socket just to check in and find that spot again, and then slowly lower that leg down. Now let's extend the right leg long on the mat, and we're just going to turn the right knee slightly out. So we're finding that external rotation of the thigh bone. Check in on your hips and make sure they're equally weighted from side to side. Press those arms down into your mat. And then on your exhale, slowly lift that right leg up to about the level of the right knee, and then lower it back down. Good, we're gonna take that again. Our exhale lifts our leg, and then our inhale lowers it. And we're gonna keep the legs straight here, and we're gonna keep the pelvis nice and neutral. So we're starting to work on lengthening those hamstrings. We're working the inner thigh and the deep rotators of the hips here. Couple more. And release down. One more. And you can have a relaxed foot there. Let's bend the knee and do the other side. Relaxed foot, turn the leg out. Make sure that rotation of your thigh doesn't take your pelvis with it. So now we're keeping the right hip heavy, feeling our pelvis stay stable. That left thigh turns out in the hip socket, and we slowly lift it up. And we lower it down. And I said a relaxed foot, and that's great. If it feels better for you to point through the toes or even flex the ankles, you can play, or flex through the heel, you can play with that. Totally up to you. And lower. But I do want your focus to be on that pelvis staying stable. No rocking back and forth or side to side. And it's such a small, simple movement, but you should feel quite a bit of work in that inner thigh. If you're not, slow your movement down a little bit. Match my pace. Two more. Inhale to release. Last one, exhaling up. Inhaling to release there. Let's bend both knees. Good. Maybe slide or rock your hips side to side there for a second, releasing any tension that might have come up. And then we're going to keep our pelvis nice and neutral. Draw the arms up to the sky, plug the arms into the shoulder sockets here, and then I want you to go ahead and float your right leg up to tabletop, left leg up to meet it. Take an inhale. On your exhale, curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. Eyes gaze forward towards the thighs. Really reach those fingertips forward, and then release it back down. Taking that again, we're starting to work towards some of the exercises we've already done in the series now to continue to warm up those legs, stretch through the hamstrings, fire up the core, exhaling. So now we're just doing our hundreds prep here. Exhale, curl. Inhale to release it. Exhale to curl. If you're a big fan of the 100, I'm sorry, we're not doing full 100 today. If you're not a big fan, it's your lucky day. We're just doing the prep. One more, we'll curl it up and we'll stay. We are gonna hold this here, but instead of pumping the arms, I want you to take little pulses up higher, reaching your fingertips past the thighs more towards that front edge of your mat. We're gonna do 5 more here, 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Hold it up, place the right foot down, place the left foot down, and then release your upper body. Let the arms float all the way back over your head and the legs reach out long. Squeeze the heels together so that you have a Pilates V position. And it's just a small rotation there. Press the heels into the mat, nod your chin to your chest, reach your arms up, inhale, and then use your exhale to roll all the way up and forward into your full roll up. Reaching all the way forward, stretch, pull those back ribs back, and then slowly roll down bone by bone. Feel your fingertips reach forward as your abs scoop back. Feeling that nice oppositional energy there, helping you control the movement. If the full roll up is not available for you, please take whatever modification works for you. Reaching it forward, stretching, lengthening through those fingertips and toes. Feel those upper back ribs pull back. Lower back ribs. Lower back ribs really pull back, and then roll it back down. One more like that. Nodding the chin towards the chest. Reaching the shoulder blades wide on the back, fingertips forward. Reach it all the way over, stretch. And then we'll roll all the way back down. Go ahead and roll down. I'm gonna adjust on my mat a little bit because we're gonna go into the rollover next. These 2 exercises do come before the leg circle, and I like making sure we do them because they do help stretch and lengthen the hamstrings and get you ready to have that straight leg up to the sky. Heels together, toes apart. When you are ready, you exhale those legs up off of the ground. Curl the pelvis up, bring your legs up and overhead, press the back of the skull into the mat, press the arms into the mat, flex your ankles, open the legs, slowly roll down, bone by bone, 1 vertebra at a time. Press into those palms, open the shoulder blades wide, legs long down towards the ground, squeeze them together while they're hovering, and then bring them up and over. Flex those ankles, open shoulder distance apart, slowly roll down, bone by bone. Pull that belly button back towards the spine, press those palms into the mat, reach through the toes. We're just gonna do 1 more. Squeeze together, lift up. Nice open throat there. Feel your sternum reaching away from your chin, flex the ankles open, slowly roll down, bone by bone, 1 vertebra at a time. Legs up to the sky here. Don't go all the way down. I just want you to slowly lower your left leg all the way long on the mat. Now we're set up for leg circles, but we're actually gonna pause for a second and take a little extra hamstring stretch. So hands come behind the thigh. We're gonna flex the knee, flex the ankle. Feel that right hip sink down away from the right shoulder, and then stretch that leg, stretch through the toes. Flex the ankle, bend the knee, stretch the knee, stretch the ankle, flex, bend, stretch, and up 1 more time. Flex, bend, stretch, and up. Now I want you to stay there. If your knee needs to soften a little bit, that's okay, but try to find a nice long leg as long as you feel like you can, kind of support without really struggling. And then I just want you to turn the leg out and turn the leg in. So we're rotating the thigh bone within the hip socket. Turn it out, turn it in, turn it out, turn it in. One more, turn it out, turn it in. Now bend that knee, relax. Take it straight up to the sky again. Turn it out slightly. So we find that rotation you just found, but maybe not 100% of it, maybe like 75% of it. Take that, and now I want you to start to think about that first exercise we did, those pelvic tilts, side to side, and you're gonna tip the pelvis over to the left, and that's what carries the leg over to the left, and then bring it back to center. And then tip to the left, twisting at the waist. So this is an oblique exercise where we're actually moving the hips to move the leg. And that should take a lot of the work out of the hip joint. Let's do 2 more here, just swinging side to side. And bring it back. 1 more. In some Pilates schools, leg circles are done with the hips stable, but that can put a lot of strain on the hip joint and actually takes a little bit of the benefit away from that rotation and that twisting of the spine that we really like. So we're gonna do it purely classical today, and we're gonna use that waist to take the circle of the leg. So let's do it slow a couple times. I'm just gonna back up a little bit, and then we'll take it fast. So leg comes back up. We take that right leg. Again, we're gonna twist to the left to start the motion. So the pelvis twists to the left to bring the leg across, just like you just did. Now the leg is going to start to sweep down towards the other leg, cross over the other leg. It's going to come open, and that left hip can lift off a little bit, but our shoulders are staying anchored. We're stable through that upper body, and then we bring it back. Let's take that slow again. So stable from ribs to shoulders, hips are twisting. It's rotation at the waist. We keep that external rotation of the thigh the whole time. The knee should not be turning in and out. It stays rotated out. Let's take it a little bit quicker. The inhale starts the circle. The exhale sweeps it up and around. I'm twisting from the waist. Inhale and exhale. Shoulders stay anchored. Press the hands into the mat. And exhale. 1 more there. Inhale and exhale. Let's take it the other way. Inhale and exhale. My movement starts with that pelvic tip, side to side. Inhale and exhale. 2 more. Inhale and exhale. Should feel really nice on the waist. Inhale and exhale. Stop at the top. Slowly lower that leg down. Bring your left leg up. Hands behind the thigh. Bend the knee. Stretch the knee. Stretch through the ankle. Stretch through the toes. Flex through the toes. Flex through the ankle. Bend the knee. Push up and stretch and flex. Push up. Stretch and flex. Keep pulling that left hip down away from the left ear. Stretch. Let's lengthen it up again. Hold there. A little softness in the knee is okay if you need it, but we're trying to find as much stretch as we can, and then we turn the knee out. We turn the knee in. That thigh bone again just moving within the hip socket. Try to find nice ease in the hip joint. 2 more. 1 more. Find about 75% of that rotation, and then we take the leg across the body, keeping that knee pointed out to the side, and then bring it back. Go across. Bring it back. And across. Bring it back. 1 more like that. Let's take 1 slow one on this side just to kind of remind the body, anchor those shoulders, take the leg across the body, tipping the pelvis to the right. And then it sweeps down, reach energy through those toes, and then the exhale brings you up. It's okay if those hips twist to the left, but keep your shoulders anchored and back to center. Across, down and around. Inhale starts the circle. Exhale sweeps your leg around. 2 more. 1 more. And then we go the other way. Inhale and exhale. Keep that external rotation of the thigh bone within the hip socket. Good. Inhale and exhale and inhale. And exhale, take that leg all the way down straight with control. Bring your arms up to the sky, nod your chin to your chest, take a roll up to come to sitting. And then we are going to go ahead and do 1 more version of leg circles with the stability of the pelvis now, but on a different plane. So we'll come to hands and knees. Hands are directly under the shoulders, knees are directly underneath the hips. Spread your fingers away from each other. Press into the fingertips and the heel of the hand. Make sure your knees are directly underneath your hips here. Our sternum reaches forward. We want to be really careful in hands and knees work that we're never collapsing down here. So give me a nice active upper body, remembering that Pilates is really full body work throughout the whole exercise, throughout all of the exercises. So press down into those hands, extend your right leg long back behind you. Stay even in the hips, even in the shoulders, and then without moving the pelvis this time, we're gonna start to circle the leg. So it's really a very different exercise. Now we're playing with moving that leg around within the hip socket. We're gonna get a lot of glute and hamstring work now. And the core is still working, the obliques are still working, but it's more about stabilizing now. And then let's reverse the circle and go the other way. I am reaching energy long through my toes here, so I can feel that length through my leg. Really stabilize that pelvis, no rocking and rolling. One more. Place that leg down, extend the left leg long reach, feel the fronts of the ribs hugging in and up a little bit, and then take your circle. Stay stable in your standing hip, try not to let it rock out to the side, hip directly over knee. Maybe press the top of that foot into the mat, check in on your upper body, and then reverse the circle, go the other way. And let's see, can you take your circle a little bit bigger while still maintaining stability? Maybe, maybe not, try it. Keep breathing. 3, and 2, and 1. And then we relax the knee down. And that's it for today. Those are, well, that is your single leg circle. Great work. I hope you feel awesome, and I will see you again tomorrow.